This isn't a movie set, and it's not computer generated. This is the far north of the Highlands. Welcome to the American Highlander. Many people around the world dream of returning to the home of their ancestors, the British Isles. At the age of 45, I fulfilled a lifelong ambition and bought my dream home in the Scottish Highlands. My name's Jason, and I live in the far north of Scotland. This is my story. Welcome to the American Highlander. Good afternoon from the Scottish Highlands. It's another stunningly beautiful day up here. Mid-August, 22, 23 degrees. Honestly, it feels warmer than that. Speaking of warm, if you go further south, England right now, London is baking. I mean, we're talking 33 degrees down there. And I don't know in America if you get much news about what's going on over here in Europe, but the continent, 40 plus degrees. Basically the southern half of Europe is kind of on fire at the moment. Even up here, Arthur's Seat, which is in Edinburgh, is on fire. And over in Norway, they're dealing with a massive heat wave. If you saw Cecilia Blomdahl's latest short, 34 degrees in Trondheim. I mean, pretty significant. So here in the far north of Scotland, the maritime climate has created sort of a mini Goldilocks zone, I think. And candidly, that is one of the big reasons why I moved up here, is I figure more people, as the climate bands shift, are going to be moving away from the equator and closer to the poles. So I figured I should get a jump start on that before I get priced out of my ability to do it. Now, I should point out, in a previous episode, some of you gave me a bit of grief for bringing up climatology at all. So let's get a couple of things on the record. I fuel my car, my wife's car, with diesel. I have a wood-burning stove. I have oil and gas going into my house for heating and for cooking. So I'm not exactly a member of Greenpeace here. And you can do what you need to do pragmatically to have a comfortable life, especially, if the power goes out, you still want to be able to heat your home, you still want to be able to cook food. But at the same time, you can still acknowledge basic science. I mean, whether it's man-made or whether it's a natural phenomena is irrelevant. The climate is changing. And these things are not mutually exclusive. So you can have a comfortable life and still acknowledge that it's happening. So for today's episode, I think I'm going to focus a bit more on sightseeing. And I mention this because, as I said in the pilot episode, I kind of make these up as I go. And some of you have been asking in the comments why I don't film more in the cottage. And the reason for this is very simple. The sun's out. Like, there's not a cloud in the sky right now. There will be plenty of time in the winter months when the weather is inclement and you can't really go out and do much sightseeing. That's when we're going to do a lot more filming inside, and we'll have sort of a cozy cottagecore aesthetic going on. But right now, while the sun's out, you got to get out. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's go. Most people wouldn't associate Scotland with beautiful beaches. When you think of the Scottish Highlands, you think of mountains, misty, moody, rainy scenery, forests, and all of that's here, especially in the far north. But the far north also has some of the finest beaches anywhere in the world. Take a look for yourself. A lot of people think, well, living in a small, high-trust society, rural village in the countryside can't really be all that good. That's just something that they sell you on TV. It's real. I promise you it's real. Because it's here. And I'm standing on it and in the midst of it right now. Welcome to the far north of Scotland. By the way, I want to give a shout out to a local business. A guy by the name of Matt emailed me and said, hey, I've got a couple of vacation rental lodges on my croft land over in Harrison Lewis in the Outer Hebrides. Would you mind giving them a shout? And yeah, if you're a local business, I have no problem whatsoever with giving you a shout out for free, because that's one of the primary functions of this channel, is to support local businesses. For anyone who's not local, that would be a paid sponsorship, and I'm totally cool with that. I would actually love to get some paid sponsors because I got a big stonking mortgage I'm going to pay off for the next 20 years. Plus, one of the things I hadn't counted on is the added fuel cost of filming. Every time I go out somewhere and drive, like I'm burning fuel and refueling that tank, that's 100 quid a pop. So yeah, it'd be great to get some paid sponsors on this channel. But if you're a local business, you're free, not a problem. So I did a little bit of checking, confirmed, yes, he actually lives on that croft land. He's a local, he lives here in the Highlands and Islands. So, here you go. Matt and his family built these 2 luxury lodges on their croft land on the island of Great Bernera, which is connected to Lewis by car. This is in the Outer Hebrides, which I haven't been to yet, but I really want to visit soon because of the amazing beaches, as well as historical sites such as the Callanish Stones. If you want to get a good look at the Outer Hebrides, there is another Scotland-based YouTube channel going the whole hog, which I highly recommend. Now, I should point out, I haven't personally stayed in these lodges, so I can't recommend them from my own experience, but come on, look at the photos. This is totally the kind of place I would want to rent if I were over there on holiday. One of the lodges is pet-friendly, so if that's important to you, it's worth checking out. Their website is theviewisleoflewis.com. Okay, let's talk real estate. Why did I buy a house in the far north of Scotland? Let's cover a few general basics up front. The further away you get from the southeast of England, the cheaper house prices tend to get. Cheaper is, of course, a relative term. Due to developer land banking and various other issues, most people under the age of 40 are now more or less permanently priced out of homeownership in the UK, unless they inherit from their parents as part of the Great Wealth Transfer. I'd been living in London for years when I began my house hunt, and it became clear almost immediately that I was already priced out of England and Wales. Average house prices are lower in Scotland, and that's perfectly fine by me since I wanted to live in Scotland anyway. So the next question, where in Scotland should I live? In my heart, I knew I wanted to live in the Highlands, but I had to do my due diligence. And let's be clear, there are many gorgeous areas in Scotland. For instance, if you haven't looked at Dumfries and Galloway or the Scottish borders, you really should. The southern uplands are often overlooked, and that's a real shame because they're just stunning. I know a lot of people moving to Scotland gravitate to the central belt. It's where the majority of the country's population lives. But everything is relative in terms of population density. I mean, compared to southeastern England, the central belt of Scotland looks like Hobbiton. But in my head, every time I saw a listing that caught my interest, I kept having this nagging whisper in the back of my mind. Yeah, but it's not the Highlands, is it? So, inevitably, I kept looking further north. At first, I looked further east into the Grampians, Morayshire, and the Cairngorms. A lot of people have been moving to this region since the pandemic, and it's easy to see why. It's stunning. Stunning scenery, with access to Inverness and Aberdeen, the latter of which has plenty of flights to London and other major destinations. A few similar channels to this one, Rewilding Jude, North and Forth, Sarah in Scotland, are all based in this area, I believe. The problem is that I'm a bit late to the party. For the type of home that I was looking for, everything was just out of my price range. Now, if I were 20 years younger, I'd go the route of buying a fixer-upper or buying land and getting a construction loan. But I'm a grumpy middle-aged man, and I want something that's turnkey. After that, I looked further west. The Trossachs are gorgeous, but, I mean, there's like 5 houses there, so I was probably never going to find something. And as much as I love Argyll and Bute, it was hard finding something that was within a decent driving range of Glasgow Airport. I have the luxury of working 100% remote, but my wife still has to periodically fly to London or internationally on business. I mean, if it were just me, I could go live in Shetland and be just fine. But regular trips to a major airport means I have a certain travel radius I have to stay within. And I need roads that are reliably open, even during winter. And that eliminates most of the West Coast, which is a shame, because it is stunning over there. One of the big advantages to the far north is that you just get more bang for your buck. The far north is remote. Once you get north of Inverness, there are no settlements left anywhere in the UK, over 10,000 people.
and only 0.1% of the total population of the UK lives in the far north and the surrounding islands. Drilling down further, Sutherland is by far the least populated part of the far north. There are more people living on the various outer islands than live in Sutherland, and for someone like me who loves isolation, this is ideal. However, if I'm going to maintain a radius of roughly 1 hour's travel from Inverness by car, then only the southeastern tip of Sutherland meets that criteria. There are other areas closer to Inverness within Easter Ross, but again, I was already priced out. When you drill down into southeastern Sutherland, there's a cluster of small towns. Dornoch, Golspie, Brora, Helmsdale, Lairg. Meteorologically, this area has a fawn effect over it, keeping it warmer than the surrounding environment. And since it's on the east coast, it's drier and sunnier with far fewer midges. Plus, it's on the A9, which is known as the spine of Scotland, so it's a reliable artery to get to Inverness in the winter. I honestly believe this corner of Sutherland might be one of the best kept secrets in the UK, because it's just far enough away from civilization to give you an amazing life in the Highlands, while still close enough to have access to all the amenities of the modern world. I'm biased since I live here, but I've quite literally put my money where my mouth is. And once you see this area, you'll understand why. So today, we're headed to one of the major tourism attractions here in the southeastern end of Sutherland, Dunrobin Castle. And it's the weekend, so it is packed. But let's see if we get lucky and get a parking spot. Now, Dunrobin Castle does have a little bit of an interesting, notorious history. But then again, show me a castle that doesn't have a notorious history. That said, it's a substantial employer here in Sutherland, so it contributes to the economy. And it is stunningly beautiful. Come on, let's go take a look. Dunrobin Castle is open from April through October annually. So, something I've debated whether or not to disclose on this channel, because it is quite personal. I have liver disease. It's pretty serious. It's called NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Essentially, it's just too much visceral fat on the liver. I'm 6 feet tall and I'm 18 stone.
That's 114 kilos and change, like 252 pounds if you use freedom units. So I'm bringing this up because liver disease is known as a silent killer. Typically by the time you present symptoms, it's too late. And something like 2/3 of all Americans are obese, and the obesity rates here in Europe are frankly not that much better. I started getting symptoms and I didn't put two and two together. My ankles were very, very itchy. I was getting fatigued very easily and brain fog. My vision was getting very blurry. And I thought, well, this is just part of getting older. No, it was liver disease and I didn't know it. And I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons. The big one is it puts things in focus. When you realize that, hey, this is something that could kill you in 5 to 10 years, then all of a sudden, the time that you thought you had, you don't have it. And that makes you appreciate every single moment. And it makes you go, okay, am I living my life in a holding pattern? And if so, what am I going to do about it? In my case, I don't like cities. I don't like big cities. I don't like being around tons of people. I don't like the noise. It's too much world. And it was, for me, manifesting in just, I'm eating too much, I'm unhappy, I need to change. And I need to be up here in nature. I need to have peace and quiet and solitude and be in an environment where I look forward to waking up every day. So if I don't make that change now, then what am I doing with my life? What's left of it? So it puts things in perspective, and it makes you get your rear end in gear. Now in my case, I've gotten a bit lucky. I joined a clinical trial for some experimental medication that deals specifically with this issue. And I've been on for a couple of years and it's worked. My liver function, according to the latest tests, has returned to normal, which is amazing. But there's a catch. My participation in that trial, as of the time of this filming, ends in about 8 months. At that point, I no longer have access to this medication. Now, the liver can regenerate. So if I do nothing, then eventually it will probably turn into liver cancer, cirrhosis, and I'll be gone 5 to 10 years from now. That's unacceptable to me. And first off, no pity in the comments, please. I got myself into this. I will get myself out of it. And please, no lectures about nutrition and tips and advice about what I should eat, etc. My eating habits are set in stone. My wife likes to joke that I'm basically on the autistic children's menu. Fry it, put cheese on it, if it's beige, I'll eat it. So the only way I'm going to get myself out of this is with exercise. I've just got to burn it off. So by sharing this, I'm making myself accountable. But more importantly, I'm sharing it because, statistically speaking, some of you watching this are dealing with this silent killer and you don't even know it. So if by embarrassing myself on camera saves even one life, then this channel has served its purpose.
While I was busy editing this episode, my wife actually headed inland to the nearby village of Rogart here in Sutherland for the Market at the Mart. She actually filmed and edited this segment, so without further ado, here's Christine.
And I would just like to say that it's taken me 1/10 of the time it normally takes Jason to edit a scene because I am an amateur with a phone app. Anyway, welcome to Rogart. I saw this event advertised online, I think on Facebook, and I thought I would pop down to see what it's all about. This is Rogart's Summer Market at the Mart, where local producers and crofters come together to show and sell their wares. There's a variety of items available, such as food, both sweet and savoury, glassware, plants, flowers, photography, toys, and crochet. I visited the white cottage baking bothy stand where I bought a fresh homemade sausage roll for only £3. It was really high quality and so much better than Greg's. No vegetarian chicken nuggets here, Jason. Kate and Kelpie sell a range of items with prints which have a real cottagey and Highland feel. They have makeup bags, small purses, lampshades, cushions, greetings cards, stationery and framed pictures. They ship internationally, so if you're interested, please give their website a look. Seafield Game sells local meats. I bought some venison and garlic burgers from them, and also some pork sausages and pork chops, because locally sourced meat just tastes so much better. Back to Bars sell their own homemade soaps. They are £6.50 per bar or £28 for 5. However, if you're undecided, you can actually buy a batch of their cut ends for £3, as you can see in the small basket there. You'll get about 5 different scents. I bought 3 soap bars from them and they're absolutely divine. I cannot wait to use them. The lovely Jackie at Highland Blooms creates silk floral decorations for all manner of events. She also sells homemade candles and lip balms. I bought 2 candles from her and they are unlike anything I've ever smelt before, truly unique. You can find her actually on Facebook at Highland Blooms. And last but not least, I met Mario, a Dutch photographer living in Doornok. Mario's photography is absolutely phenomenal. He sells his photos as prints, framed prints, greetings cards, calendars large and small, and he also sells small toy Highland coups. I bought a large calendar from him and the photography in it is just stunning. The good news is he actually ships internationally, so if you love Scottish scenery and you want a gift for yourself or someone else, please do take a look at his website.
I created the American Highlander as a way of showing how magical life is here in the far north of Scotland. It is a delicate magic, but the Scottish Highlands are one of the few truly remarkable places left in the world. I hope someday you'll come up here and visit it, or perhaps even do the same thing that I did and choose to create a new life here and integrate. Because I promise you, it's every bit as good as you think it is. So, until next time, thanks for watching The American Highlander. Take care.